On this Monday night, Team Canada's lofty goals.
We're going to Houston. We're ready to roll.
After Sunday's history-making World Cup match, how Canadians are celebrating and preparing for what's next. The floodwaters trapping thousands in Alberta as wildfires threaten communities in the north. A horrifying discovery in the Ottawa area.
It's always tough, and seek help if they need it to deal with this tragedy.
What police found inside a home and a parking lot. Plus, incredible survival stories from Venezuela's twin earthquakes. How this woman and her newborn, trapped for days in the rubble, found the strength to survive.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Just over 24 hours since Team Canada clinched another historic World Cup win, advancing to the next round, Canadian soccer fans are still riding high. This hockey-crazed country has been galvanized and united around the beautiful game. Team Canada and its fans are now getting ready for what's expected to be an uphill battle in our next match on Saturday. Sarah MacDonald has more from California on Sunday's wild win and the challenge ahead.
Just when it looked like Sunday's World Cup match was headed for extra time, at the 92-minute mark. Finally came the winning goal for Team Canada, seen and heard across the country. A few seconds in time, uniting all of us.
Yeah! Woo!
No matter who you are.
Yes! They did it!
Or where you were. Canada rocketing to the round of 16, enough to get midfielder Ismail Kone back on his feet in a big way. Just 10 days after being sidelined with a broken leg. And there's even more to celebrate aside from the team's unprecedented World Cup winning streak, with captain Alphonso Davies now back in play, hitting the pitch to rapturous applause in the game's second half.
It was electric. He changed the game.
It was amazing. Life's filling.
Better to see the win. It's not about the player, it's about the team.
The team is now headed to Houston, Texas, with its own Canadian cavalry in tow.
We're going to Houston. We're ready to roll.
I'm going to Houston, baby!
And countless others, like Basil Siegel, born in South Africa, now living in Canada.
I felt a lot of conflicting loyalty, and I'm still sort of feeling the residual of that.
Who might have felt conflicted up until now, but
I'm so proud to be Canadian and to live in this amazing country and to see Canada win in soccer. Go Canada!
the team now leaves California for Texas for a match that, no matter who they meet, will be a hard-fought battle, Morocco or the Netherlands. Jeff will find out who they're playing on Saturday later tonight.
Sarah MacDonald, thanks. In BC, 6 people are missing after a charter boat sank off the coast of Greater Vancouver. It happened in the Georgia Strait just before noon on Sunday. Of the 10 people on board, 4 were rescued when a nearby sailboat noticed survivors in the water and called in a mayday. Police, rescue crews, and ferries all eventually joined in the search, but it was suspended last night when authorities said all options had been exhausted. Officials say they were not wearing life jackets. In Ottawa, 2 children are dead, along with their father, in what police are calling an apparent double murder-suicide. Ottawa police say the 2 boys, aged 7 and 12, were found dead inside their home this morning. The body of their father was found inside a burning vehicle parked in a carpool lot just south of Ottawa. Police say a business fire at another location is also connected.
Certainly to the neighbors who are going to know the family, school kids, just started school break. As more information has come out, it's going to be traumatic for them as well.
Police say the boy's mother and father were divorced and the father had no criminal history. Their identities have not been released as police investigate and notify other family. Police say there is no further danger to the public. It's shaping up to be a week of extreme weather right across the country. A heat wave is moving through Ontario and Quebec starting tomorrow, pushing temperatures with humidex values well into the 40s. And it's also hot and dry across Canada's north, creating dangerous wildfire conditions. Huge swaths of the Northwest Territories are facing an extreme risk of fires. Dozens of wildfires are already burning out of control. Meanwhile, in southern Alberta, heavy rain is triggering flooding, mudslides, and evacuation alerts. Heather Yourex-West is in Canmore for us tonight and joins us with more. Heather.
Jeff, for the second week in a row, parts of Alberta have seen just a deluge of rain. You can see behind me the Bow River is running very high. Here in the mountain communities west of Calgary, the heavy rains have triggered evacuation alerts and washed out highways, stranding thousands.
For campers in Kananaskis, there is no way home. Heavy rains washing out several parts of the main highway through the popular mountain destination, leaving people like Daryl Honish trapped for the night.
We're currently stuck because it's closed north of us and it's closed south of us.
Parks officials estimate 2,000 people have been stranded, including 500 at the upscale Pomeroy Lodge. While those guests were able to leave via an alternate route Monday, shelters have been open to help more than 1,000 others.
We are advising the public to stay away from Kananaskis Country at this point in time. This is not the time to come visit Kid Country until we can get the transportation corridors back open.
Further west in Canmore, about 100 residents were placed on evacuation alert as water levels swelled along the Cougar Creek. Fortunately, flood mitigation measures built in the wake of the 2013 flood disaster helped to stave off any serious damage this time around.
The Cougar Creek debris retention structure is doing exactly what it was designed to do, and that is to capture debris. And it's helping protect downstream neighborhoods.
While Alberta deals with damaging rain, the forests of Northwest Territories are on fire once again. More than 1,000 people in Fort Simpson have been forced to flee to Yellowknife, with a wildfire burning dangerously close.
My understanding is that, a large portion of the town did evacuate successfully, so a big complex thing to plan.
Emergency officials believe most of the heavy rain is now behind them, but there is still a lot of water coming down from the mountain snowpack, melting at the same time as more wet weather is expected through to the weekend. Jeff?
Heather Yourex-West in Canmore tonight. Thanks, Heather. Funeral directors in Paris say they've run out of space to store bodies and are now turning grieving families away after Europe's record-shattering heatwave saw a spike in what officials call excess deaths. French authorities say about 1,000 more people died than they would typically see over a 3-day period last week. That coincided with France's record-breaking heat. As Redmond Shannon reports, the heat wave is raising questions for the continent's ability to contend with extreme temperatures.
From baking Bucharest to boiling Budapest, Central and Eastern Europe are now at the center of Europe's record-breaking heat wave. Down the Danube in Serbia, it hit 39 degrees Monday. It's all our own fault. Science has had its say and that's it, says this man. In France, the intense heat has passed for now, but the effects have not. This funeral director says he no longer has extra capacity to store bodies, so his team is bringing empty coffins to homes where people have died, making sure that bodies can be preserved. French authorities estimate there were about 1,000 extra deaths in France in the most intense days of heat last week. Most people do not die directly from heat exposure, but the vulnerable and sick tend to die earlier than they otherwise would have. A US study last year suggested excess deaths due to heat and cold are far higher in the European Union when compared with the US. Average homes are older and air conditioning is much less common, something that is a hot political topic in France. However, cold-related deaths still far outnumber heat deaths. That suggests a warming climate may in fact reduce temperature deaths overall. The effects of a warming world are felt in countless other ways, though. Last winter's accumulation of ice on Switzerland's glaciers has already melted 3 months earlier than average, and it's still only June. Once this heat wave dissipates, the relief may not last long. Forecasts suggest more extreme heat in Europe in early July. Jeff?
Redmond Shannon in London. Thanks, Red. Strong aftershocks are complicating rescue efforts in Venezuela, where crews are still finding survivors now 5 days since the country was struck by back-to-back earthquakes. rose cheers today as search teams pulled this man from the rubble. Among the incredible survival stories, a mother who was rescued over the weekend with her 3-week-old baby. They were trapped in her wrecked home for 32 hours. She told the BBC her infant son gave her motivation to stay awake and alert. But time is running out to find other survivors. Tens of thousands are still missing, and Venezuela's government says more than 1,400 have now been confirmed dead.
At least 2,500 structures affected, most of which fully collapsed. So we are definitely looking at a number that is higher than the one already reported. We are procuring, and this is something that has been agreed with the authorities here, 10,000 body bags.
Venezuela's government is facing criticism for its response, accused of not doing enough and leaving the search and rescue efforts to ordinary civilians who lack proper equipment. After trading strikes over the weekend with Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump now says talks between the two nations are set to continue tomorrow in Qatar, though Tehran says no meetings are scheduled. Those conflicting messages have fast become the norm in this conflict. A ceasefire signed nearly 2 weeks ago lasted for less than 10 days, though the U.S. says they are now standing down on any further military action, at least for now. Heidi Petracek reports on the talks and the status of the Strait of Hormuz.
Special Envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be flying to Doha for high-level meetings this week.
On Fox News, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said talks with Iran will resume after a tense weekend, marred by tit-for-tat military attacks by both the U.S. and Iran. President Donald Trump, writing Iran, requested a meeting set for Tuesday, and U.S. officials said both sides would be standing down. A spokesperson for Iran's foreign ministry said later no such meeting is scheduled.
The meeting in Doha is going to be perhaps important, perhaps not. We're going to find out.
Less than 2 weeks after Iran and the U.S. signed their Memorandum of Understanding, passage through the Strait of Hormuz, a crucial distribution route for a fifth of the world's oil and gas supplies, remains a key pressure point.
We've also seen that Iranians want to appear still in charge of the Strait of Hormuz. So this is why they were shooting. They wanted to make sure that everybody understands who was in charge.
There are other issues, too, including billions of dollars in Iranian frozen assets and Tehran's supply of enriched uranium, all complicated by a host of political players.
We have spoilers in Washington who are trying to derail the talks, and we also have the Israelis who like to derail the talks.
Iran is out, Hezbollah is out, and the road to peace between Israel and Lebanon is in.
The U.S. signed an agreement Friday with Israel and Lebanon meant to bring an end to fighting between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah militants. Fighting, the Lebanese health ministry says, that has killed more than 4,000 people since March.
Traffic in the Strait of Hormuz has slowed considerably with the weekend attacks. It is still far below what would be considered normal, a disruption that's fueling high gas prices and draining wallets. Jeff.
Heidi Petracek in Washington tonight. Thanks, Heidi. Ukraine says Russian attacks have killed at least 10 people across the country. Ukraine's president says 6 people died when a Russian missile struck the central city of Dnipro. 3 others were killed when a drone struck a minibus in the south. Yesterday, Russian President Vladimir Putin acknowledged his country is enduring a difficult period. Rejected by the U.S. Supreme Court. Coming up, the request from Donald Trump that got shot down, forcing the president to pay up. A legal victory today for the group pushing for an Alberta independence referendum. An Alberta Court of Appeal judge ruled that the signatures on the separatist referendum petition can be counted and verified. It trumps an earlier lower court ruling that had paused the petition, citing the province's failure to consult with First Nations. While the petition can continue, the judge also ruled that the province cannot proceed with a binding referendum until legal challenges are resolved. And Canada's Supreme Court is about to receive a new member. Manitoba's top judge, Justice Glenn Joyal, will replace Alberta's Sheila Martin, who retired last month. Martin was seen as a more progressive or activist judge. David Aiken joins us now with what we might expect from her replacement. David.
Well, Jeff, Justice Glenn Joyal will arrive at the Supreme Court at a potentially momentous time, looming constitutional battles over federal-provincial relations and the Carney government's major projects office.
I deeply appreciate the confidence you've placed in me, given the breadth and the depth of the responsibilities of a Justice of the Supreme Court of Canada.
Joyal is 66. He grew up in St. Boniface, Manitoba. He speaks English, French, and Italian, the son of a Polish mother and a Franco-Manitoban father.
In my mind's eye, I see him touching my arm and reminding me, as you often did, remember, Glenn, be humble, very humble.
Some Conservative MPs tried to suggest that the judicial appointment process is tilted to produce Liberal-friendly judges.
It is not uncommon for governments to seek candidates that reflect their political ideology.
This concern between the political and the judicial.
That suggestion was rejected by the chair of the Independent Advisory Board that unanimously recommended Joyal, none other than Maureen McTeer, the wife of former Progressive Conservative Prime Minister Joe Clark.
Well, I think people would be hard-pressed to determine to call me a Liberal Party hack.
And the nominee himself promised a nonpartisan approach.
I want to do the best I can to apply the law as it is before me, to interpret the law as it is before me.
Justice Joyal spent more than 3 hours taking questions today from MPs and senators, but that's really just a courtesy. There is no vote on his appointment. It is entirely up to the PM, who expects the new Supreme Court justice on the job almost immediately. Jeff.
David Aiken in Ottawa. Thanks, David. The U.S. Supreme Court has rejected a request from the U.S. president to overturn a jury's verdict that he was liable for sexually abusing and then defaming former magazine columnist E. Jean Carroll. Carroll sued Trump in a New York court after she alleged he sexually abused her in 1996 and then defamed her by claiming she lied about the accusations. The decision upholds the $5 million civil judgment against Trump. Trump called the court's decision surprising and has vowed to continue to fight the defamation claims. The U.S. Supreme Court also delivered another significant defeat to the Trump administration today, ruling that states can count mailed ballots that are cast by Election Day but arrive later. The decision preserves rules in more than a dozen states and could ultimately impact the results of November's midterm elections. Trump has frequently criticized mail-in voting, claiming without evidence that it leads to election fraud. The mission to solve a mystery. Still ahead, a major development for the most expensive search in aviation history. In Germany, 6 people were killed in a shooting at a youth center. Several others were injured, some seriously. The suspected shooter and 2 others have now been arrested, and police say there was no ongoing threat to the public. Malaysia has now extended its search for the wreckage of a Malaysian Airlines flight that disappeared over the Indian Ocean 12 years ago. Flight MH370 was carrying 239 people when it vanished from radar shortly after taking off from Kuala Lumpur en route to Beijing. Satellite data showed the plane had deviated from its flight path and headed south, where it's believed to have crashed. The search has now been extended for another year, hoping to find the wreckage and answers for victims' families. Australia is now moving to double the fines for those who violate its new law banning anyone under 16 from using major social media platforms. The Australian government has introduced legislation to give more power to their internet safety watchdog to go after tech companies. The changes will give the country's e-safety commissioner the ability to compel companies to hand over documents such as board minutes and internal emails. Companies who don't comply could face fines of nearly $97 million. 5 social media platforms are being investigated for non-compliance, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Up next, Team Canada scores its ticket to the final 16 at the World Cup. We'll size up their chances. Still ahead. Welcome back. One day after advancing to the final 16 of the World Cup tournament, Team Canada is about to learn who their next opponent will be. 2 soccer heavyweights, Morocco and the Netherlands, play tonight, with the winner earning a date with Team Canada in Houston on Saturday. Our Eric Sorensen reports on their prospects and looks back at the biggest goal in Canadian soccer history.
It was a moment that sent an electrical charge through the country.
It just felt like everything exploded, just like jumping up, celebration.
The build-up began late in the match when Alphonso Davies entered the game. The whole team was energized, but it was an unexpected tandem who connected. Jacob Schaffelberg down the right wing and Stefan Eustachio in midfield. As Schaffelberg kicked the ball in front, Eustachio was a bystander. But the South African headed the ball out to Eustachio. The defenders converged but left an opening where Eustachio struck it perfectly into the open corner of the net.
Canada! Canada!
The goal in stoppage time sent Canadians into a frenzy.
We did this! You see this? That was us!
Eustachio hadn't scored in 3 years. They're especially proud in his hometown of Leamington, where Tony Omar knew his late father.
I was just arms up and couldn't be prouder. Stefan is so much like his dad was, very skilled, very talented, sees the field so well.
Canada's former coach says what's different about this Canadian team is confidence.
There is an expectation now for Canada to go on and win games. You've got a team that genuinely believes that they can do something.
The most exciting game I've ever been to.
Canadian fans are also ready for more.
Come on, Morocco! Come on, Morocco, we want you!
Careful what you wish for. Canada will face either Morocco, ranked 6th in the world, or number 7, the Netherlands, who play Monday night. The winner to meet Canada on Saturday in Houston, amazingly, in the round of 16.
Canada! Canada!
So, for at least one more week, the World Cup dream for Canadians lives on. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
And that is Global National for this Monday. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada is Hardy Island, BC. We love seeing Your Canada, so please email it to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great night.